Hello, everyone. Welcome to book study number 24 here in the Living Theosophy, Key to Theosophy series. We're actually in section 6. So in section 6, we continue forward. These teachings will always be free. There are links to the text down below. There are also free ebooks over on the Living Theosophy website. And there are Living Theosophy platforms out there to share these teachings in memes and quotes and personal observations. The discovery of these teachings has changed my life in such a monumental way that I cannot not be of service. So I started to voice them and put them up on a channel. And as a former broadcaster, I voice them here on these recorded book studies and in the live book studies. And then I want to be able to get them out there in the world so that other people can feel this same peace, purpose, calm, sense of unity and connection. You can feel connection and understanding, and it's all unconditional. And there's no way for me to describe it unless you experience it yourself. So the fact that you're here to watch this right now is fantastic. Pick up the studies at your own pace. You can get the ebooks and study in your own time, but when you apply them, something, I want to say, magical happens. It's what I was looking for all my life. It's not a religion. These are both ancient, sacred and ancient, and also the future for humanity. And the foundation is compassion. So as we get started and begin to study here, you can listen to me read the text to you, but then interpret it on your own and pick up wherever you want. And if these teachings seem to resonate within you, if you feel the same importance, please share this video. And if you would, please subscribe. You can click the bell for notifications. You don't have to study with me, but just find the Theosophical teachings. Find them because they are, like I said, both ancient and our future. And it is all connected. All is one. So let's move forward into section 6 and this week's book study. Here we go. We are on page 88, 89, and 90 on the Septenary constitution of our planet. Inquirer asks, I understand that you describe our Earth as forming a part of a chain of Earths. Theosophist, we do. But the other 6 Earths or globes are not on the same plane of objectivity as our Earth is. Therefore, we cannot see them. Inquirer, is that on account of the great distance? Theosophist, not at all, for we see with our naked eye planets and even stars at immeasurably greater distances. But it is owing to those 6 globes being outside our physical means of perception or plane of being. It is not only that their material density, weight, or fabric are entirely different from those of our Earth and the other known planets, but they are, to us, on an entirely different layer of space, so to speak. A layer not to be perceived of or felt by our physical senses. And when I say layer, please do not allow your fancy to suggest layers like strata or beds laid one over the other, for this would only lead to more absurd misconception. What I mean by layer is that plane of infinite space, which is by its nature, it cannot fall under our ordinary waking perceptions, whether mental or physical, but which exists in nature outside of our normal mentality or consciousness, outside of our 3-dimensional space, and outside of our division of time. Each of the 7 fundamental planes or layers in space, of course, as a whole, as the pure space of Locke's definition. Locke is a 17th century English philosopher, John Locke. Not as our finite space, has its own objectivity and subjectivity. It has its own space and time. It has its own consciousness and set of senses. But all this will hardly be comprehensible to the one trained in the modern ways of thought. Inquirer, what do you mean by a different set of senses? Is there anything on our human plane that you could bring as an illustration of what you say, just to give a clearer idea of what you mean by this variety of senses, spaces, and respective perceptions? Theosophist, none. Except, perhaps, that which for science would be rather a handy peg on which to hang a counter-argument. We have a different set of senses in dream life, have we not? We feel, talk, hear, see, taste, and function in general on a different plane. The change of state of our consciousness being evidenced by the fact that a series of acts and events embracing years, as we think, pass ideally through our mind in one instant. Well, that extreme rapidity of our mental operations and dreams and the perfect naturalness for the time being of all the other functions show us that we are on quite another plane. Our philosophy teaches us that there are 7 fundamental forces in nature and 7 planes of being. So there are 7 states of consciousness in which man can live, think, remember, and have his being. To enumerate these here is impossible, and for this one has to turn to the study of Eastern metaphysics. But in these 2 states, the waking and the dreaming, every ordinary mortal, from a learned philosopher down to a poor, untutored individual, has a good proof that such states differ. Inquirer: you do not accept, then, the well-known explanations of biology and physiology to account for the dream state? Theosophist: we do not. We reject even the hypotheses of your psychologists, preferring the teachings of Eastern wisdom, believing in 7 planes of cosmic being and states of consciousness. With regard to the universe or the macrocosm, we stop at the 4th plane, finding it impossible to go with any degree of certainty beyond. But with respect to the microcosm or man, we speculate freely on his 7 states and principles. Inquirer: how do you explain these? Theosophist: we find, first of all, 2 distinct beings in man, the spiritual and the physical, the man who thinks and the man who records as much of these thoughts as he is able to assimilate. Therefore, we divide him into 2 distinct natures, the upper, or the spiritual being, composed of 3 principles or aspects, and the lower, the physical quaternary, composed of 4, in all 7. Next time, we move on to the septenary nature of man, septenary meaning 7. And we'll talk about spirit and soul and the man of the flesh and all that. So I hope the teleprompter is working for you. I'm still getting used to it. Feels kind of familiar from the old days. But anyway, that is section 6. We've just covered page 88, 89, and 90 on the septenary constitution of our planet. So if that didn't make sense to you, please revisit. The more time you spend trying to even digest a little bit, or even listening to it being repeated back to you, the better it gets, the easier it gets, the more you align yourself morally. So first deserve, then desire. That is a very important quote, meaning, are you aligned? Are you here to learn about psychic powers for control of others? Well, this isn't the place for you. If you're here because you hear the crushing call of compassion and empathy for all beings, and you want to be of service because of this empathy within you, then I think you're in the right place. So as you study and as you align yourself, if you're in a world of drugs and alcohol and the world of the lower senses, lust and greed, these might not work for you. They won't. They won't work for you. If you are eating meat and animal products, it also has there's a stop there as well. You have to bypass that and become more pure. And the purer you get, and the purer physically, mentally, spiritually, the easier these teachings will come to you. So thank you for being here. I love you very much. And if you would, please subscribe and hit the bell button. And I never say that. Hit the bell. Hit it, hit it, hit it. I need to put some graphics in here. I'm getting there. I'm an old school broadcaster learning new broadcaster ways, the live streaming and all that. So I'm getting there. I love you. I'll see you soon.